and we are giving you the last 4 episodes of The Best Man, the final chapter. This is the Big Go Belt Media channel, and you got your girl, Amaya Desire, and of course, the one only Jamal.
She is... Amaya fights, though. I love her to death, but Amaya fights dirty. That's all I'm going to say. She fights so dirty.
You know what it is. All right, let's hop into it. So, we have this bald-headed ninja, Demetrius, showing up in Jordan's life, trying to sweet talk her. And of course, we are like, this is too good to be true. What does this man want? What does he need? And yeah, so they had a really, really nice dinner. They are having a joyous time. And I believe they're at a concert, right?
They're at a little like
it's like a
speakeasy night. Yeah. There you go.
I'm not gonna botch her name. Do you remember her name? How to say it?
Michelle. She's a Clipper. OHHS. That's all I got for you, because I'm not about to try to say that lady's last name.
Listen, we know her.
You made a fool out of me.
There we go. There we go.
Love and Basketball.
Classics. It's an absolute classic. So they're there. They have a really nice night. Go back to the apartment, condo, flat, whatever it is that Jordan is living in.
And she's like,
okay, listen, I'm giving her all of the luxury. and then she says, thank you for a very good night. Get the stepping. That's how I like envision that scene, because he's definitely trying to come into the apartment, and she's like, no, we ain't having it. And we don't really know about this guy still. We just know that they've had the conversation. He's back.
They haven't passed.
He could not trust him, so she's having a hard time letting him back in. Right. Of course, we have Q's dad, who they've got him a nurse, but he's obviously trying to run the nurse away. This will be another nurse that he's running away. And they're just trying to get him together. Q and Shelby decided they're going to throw a New Year's Eve black and gold party. Really more like Shelby decided that she was throwing the black and gold party, and Q was just there because he lives there.
Exactly. And he's putting the bill. And let's not forget, Shelby is having a moment, because she's like, why is it so goddamn hot in this house?
She is. She reminded me of my mom. She is going through menopause. 1 minute she hot, 1 minute she cold. She like, turn the damn heat off. He like, it's 26 degrees outside, but she said, and so what? Turn the heat off. It's too damn hot in here. Listen, I'm just trying to tell you, that's annoying. I ain't gonna hold you. It's really annoying.
So I have a god sister. I love her dearly. She is that one. Everybody else could be just fine. She'd be like, I'm so hot. Sometimes me and her be on the same page, but for the most part, she or her own, I'd be like, Raina, it is not that hot, girl. Calm down. And she's opening up fans, and if she's turning on fans, opening up doors, and it's 30 degrees outside.
When it's happening, it's happening. Nothing you can do. But Shelby done forgot how old she was, because her lying ass keeps saying she's 40. Girl, you've been 40 for 10 years. Give it up, sis. Like, you look good for 50. Okay, you all right. You'll be fine. So of course we have Lance stalking Jasmine, right? And he actually tells Q that he talked to her and what have you, but then Q tells him, so he heard through the grapevine that Jasmine didn't get married.
Yes.
I was actually looking forward to something pop off, but I really enjoyed the dynamic that they played there with her being unavailable, and then years later down the line being available for them to kind of meet.
Or so we think she's available, because we don't necessarily know at this point. But and I'm glad you mentioned that, because what we did not mention, that's what escaped my mind that I could not remember in the last review.
Okay.
A lot of what happened with Lance when he could not perform, we'll say that, is he met Jasmine, and Jasmine was so reminiscent of Mia.
Absolutely.
And that's why she was appearing in his dreams.
Right.
She felt like home to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he's getting all the vibes he got with Mia with her, and just so happens to be on Instagram and sees her, and then hits Cole, calls her directly, like, come on, son.
Yeah. Finger slip. You don't know how to use Instagram, sir? Come on, get out of here.
I was just looking for some fast recruits, and you looking my way? Okay. Exactly.
So of course Q is at home talking business, because he's still trying to figure out whether or not he's going to take one of the offers that has been given on Spivey Hotel brand. And music starts blasting, and he's like, let me call you back. And he goes up to Kennedy's room to see what the hell is going on, and lo and behold,
surprise!
LJ is in full drag. He is, got the wig on, and the lipstick, and the boots, and
the lashes, and the blush, and
the whole 9 yards.
And the bob wig, yo.
I'm doing it for LJ. Okay, you can't tell me shit. All right.
Oh my god.
But this brings us back to being able to jump back real quickly to episode 4, when we see LJ show up to work with Auntie Jordan, as his true self, and they tell Auntie Jordan that they are non-binary, and that this is who they want to be presented as. Now, of course, the question is like, hey, honey, this is great and all, but have you told your dad? Because, so of course, so Auntie Jordan is the first one to know. Or actually probably the second one, because
out of his friends is
definitely Kennedy's well aware. So then we have, Auntie Jordan knows, now Uncle Q knows, and
who is his godfather,
right? So he says, I think this is the question where he does ask, no, he doesn't, but he just says keep it down, I believe, and then kind of just is shocked and goes on to have a goddamn 3-way conversation with the rest of the group.
Yo, that
is like my favorite part of this whole episode. My man got on 3-way. He had no problems calling everybody, right? He calls Jordan first.
Yes.
And he's like, what is non-binary?
It is not with a Y. It's like it's an action, like he's doing. He said, "What's non-binary?"
Yeah, like
with an ing, right?
What does this mean? And so he's talking to Jordan, and then he calls. He tries to call Merch. No, he tries to call Harper, but Harper doesn't answer. He sends a text back, and he says, if you're talking about non-binary, has he told Lance? Then they try to call him. They call Merch, but then they put Merch on pause or mute, so he thinks, because he's like, well, Merch can't hold.
He can't keep no secret.
Meanwhile, Merch is at kickboxing practice and says, I can't keep a secret, bitch, and then hangs up the phone. So we're gonna get into Merch in a little bit, but listen,
hold on, but don't forget, Shelby is on the line too.
Because she said everybody in the goddamn house could hear you. That's what they're saying. She said, I'm here. I'm already on the plane. What you gonna do about it? What you finna do about it, huh, sir? Explain to me what you finna do.
But I'm gonna tell you this part. First of all, this has to be my favorite episode, down pat. Yeah. And this has to be one of my favorite. The whole issue, and I'm not trying to be that guy, because everybody expects it when you are within the community. But from speaking on LJ's experience, I love how he was able to come to Jordan and how he kept it. Well, we'll touch on that later, but I love how he was able to come to Jordan and Jordan be so welcoming. And I don't know what it is about a woman, especially a Black woman, that sometimes, not all, we know not all, but sometimes they are so great with accepting in that regard. Excuse me, but I also think it's only when it's not your child.
That's interesting.
That's a whole different can of worms we can get into.
We can't go down there. We can't go down there.
We can't go there now, but later we will have that conversation.
So, of course, you know, everybody's trying to figure out whether or not they know, and that they all decide to keep it a secret until LJ is ready to tell Lance, you know, which we know is not going to be easy. But like I said, Merch is out here kickboxing. He happened to see a kickboxing when they were doing the top 10 when Lance made his announcement that he was going back to football. So he decides he's going to take up kickboxing. He's only there to let some steam, but the coach is like, nah, my guy, you need to be in the ring beating some ass because I know talent when I see it. So he's been out doing that. But now, you know, everybody's deciding that they're getting ready to go to the Black and Gold New Year's Eve party. So we have Robin.
Before we hold on, I knew you was going to go there, but before you get there, we got to talk about the awkwardness between Robin and Yaya Jr. Because I can't think. Jayhan.
Yeah. So you know he's bringing her some blankets or some heaters.
Heaters. Yes.
Because it's cold in the house. She done told Harper that it's cold, the heat is not working, and so he brings it over. You can see she's fighting the urge to pounce all over this man, and he himself kind of looks like he's also fighting the urge. And to me, she's still playing with fire, but Harper's not home. He hasn't been home. She's in this big ass house that he wanted, and he's not here, and so it's become, you know, a struggle. So you see everybody, you know, starting to slowly show up to the New Year's Eve party. Merch and Candace, the girls have decided they don't want to go because they don't want to be clowned, which I think they could have used this as a perfect opportunity to talk about what it's like to be in a family friend circle where you're still the odd kids out.
Yeah.
But at least they brought it up that, you know, they felt like LJ and Kennedy would clown them for what they were wearing or weren't wearing, and that they would just rather stay home. So they both decided to not go. When Merch and Candace show up, you know, Jordan is there, and the only person that's not there, and Lance is there, and you know, she's like, here's the candy table, which is full of hallucinogen goodies. You know, we love our edibles. And, you know, Candace is like, I don't really know if I'm going to do this. And I'm loving everything about Merch that says, you know what, just for the night and only for the night. Fuck them kids. I loved it. I loved every bit of it because that's real life. That's real parents. That's parents. That's real parents for you. Tonight, we left their asses at home. They good to go. We done left them home before. You know, fuck them kids. So we see them getting high as a kite, you know.
Baby.
Jordan is there talking with Shelby, you know, doing their usual about what's going on, what's the happenings, and also I want to say that Shelby was bringing up Harper. She might have mentioned Harper at some point in time. Not 110% sure.
No. Shelby mentions Demetrius.
Right.
And she asked, so there you go. She brings up Demetrius, and you know, she's just like, Jordan's very guarded. I don't know, because Robin and Candace don't know. Well, Candace is out of it, so she's not a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
But Robin is there, and she's just like, you know, I can't. They get on the subject about sex, and Shelby's like, "You haven't fucked him yet," and she was like, "No." And so Robin's like, "Well, why haven't you?" And she's just like, "When I fuck Demetrius, I get dick dumb."
I don't know what that is.
Ma'am.
I don't know. I mean, like, how dumb you gotta get that?
I was about to say, can you say that with a straight face looking at me? Because you surely look down. So I feel like you're lying.
I'm trying to figure out how dumb is dumb. Like, on what level of dumb we talking? Because, like,
you been in the bushes?
No, I ain't been in no bushes.
You been outside that door, though.
I ain't been outside the door when I wasn't welcome.
That's my point. That's dick dumb.
No, I'm saying I wasn't outside when I wasn't invited. Whenever I only go when I'm invited. I ain't done no like.
You ain't did no drive by. Like, let me lean down and drive past. See if the lights is on. See that right there? I know you done it.
I have it. No, I have not.
Yeah.
Listen. It's 40. I was gonna say it's 40 years of memories, but it's only.
Don't age yourself.
How many, child? Listen, we gonna
moving on.
Yes,
because we telling too many of our secrets.
All right, yeah. Okay,
but no, still on that. So Shelby is like, you know, she's as Jordan is expressing how she cannot trust herself with Demetrius because of their past.
Mm-hmm.
Shelby's like, you gotta live. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much telling her, you know, you need to stop living with boundaries on everything. Yeah. Like you're very successful. You're doing well. You know what I'm saying? You got to take care of yourself. And if you want to share that with, because what we missed to say is that when they did have that beautiful night and they were discussing New Year's plans, he wants to put her on a PJ.
Yeah.
To Paris.
Yeah, and she declines. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So when they find that out, they was like, "But you better give him some." Like, you know, they trying to egg her on, like y'all, like all friends do. So that all of that is going, and lo and behold, Lance is FaceTiming Miss Jasmine, and you know they have their good. That's when we now find out she didn't get married.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So of course everybody's enjoying themselves. Jordan decides to text, you know, Demetrius, hey,
except for Robin.
You know, yeah. If you haven't gone anywhere or you still here, you know, please make it. And then Robin is outside having a moment because Harper's not there. She feels like she's just here alone, which she is. And Lance texts Harper to be like, listen, I don't know what you got to do to get home, but you need to get home now. Your wife needs you. Mm-hmm. Kennedy and LJ are having their own moment. And he's like, you know, Kennedy is like, too bad we can't post it. LJ is like, well, at some point in time, I gotta do this because I gotta be true to myself. They tell Kennedy to post it.
But let's not forget, at this moment, they also have a face beat. Realistic lashes and makeup.
Right. And so Kennedy posts a video. Shelby crazy ass got a alert for every time her daughter do something. So now she gets the alert. She's looking on the phone. They blind 50-year-old asses can't see. They finna put the shit up on the TV. Now everybody's like, wait, hold on, is that LJ? And everybody's like, oh shit. So now they're like, turn it off, Shelby, turn it off. And Lance comes in, he sees it, he's like, oh, is that Kennedy and one of her little friends? And of course, goes back into the room, confronts LJ, says they need to talk, and then proceeds to tell them that, you know, you're going to take this shit off your face and we leaving. Mm-hmm. And I know, you know, that cannot, I can only imagine what it's like. Well, I can't imagine, but you know what I mean? Like, to empathize with wanting to share a part of your true authentic self and then being basically casted out for it and told that, you know, it's a mistake or it's a phase or whatever have you. What would that scene, how did that scene feel to you?
I did not want that to be the reaction, but I knew that there was a strong possibility that would be the reaction. And unfortunately, it was a mix of emotions because at the same time we also got to deal with the fact that at this point Lance finds out everybody in the circle knows him.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so it's like once again everybody has kept a secret from him, just like they did with Unfinished Business. Mm-hmm. And so you know, I wanted the best for I really wanted this to be a positive exchange with LJ expressing themselves and who they feel like they've been all their lives,
right? And
unfortunately, it's not met with warm welcome. And so I was
sad, but I feel like this is also the the realistic version of most Black straight heterosexual fathers.
And I'm glad you said most, because it's not all, but it is most.
Not all. But I do think that's something that, obviously needs to be talked about.
Definitely.
So everybody's, so Lance and LJ go home. Lance gets Robin a cab. And
we ended there.
Murch and Candace go home to find the girls stoned on Candace's. One of them has eating all of the munchies, and another one is just so relaxed. She's now dressed in a 2-piece, showing off some skin in front of a goddamn on camera, talking about something. She done sent a picture to LJ. Child.
Let me tell you something. You know what I thought about watching her in that part? Remember Saved by the Bell when Jesse took all them damn uppers? And she was like,
God. You aging us, talking about something, don't age yourself. Man, sir.
I'm so excited.
That's exactly what she was doing, too. That's exactly what she's doing. So is there anything that we're missing on this episode? Because I feel like
it leaves us with I'm gonna tell you that, well, we see Robin go back home and she's met with the empty house.
Mm-hmm. For a second there, I thought that he was gonna come home.
Me too. But unfortunately, he doesn't. And what we're missing is, we're not telling you all, for episodes 4 and 5, Harper been missing.
Yeah, he hasn't been there.
Harper on the island by himself. Yeah. We don't know where he at. But he comes back, and then we come to it ends. That's pretty much how we end. That's how it ends. Right. With Robin being in the bed by herself until we have episode 6.
Right. They come in. Harper is back now. They're having a conversation, and she, he's like, "We'll have plenty more New Year's to celebrate," and she's like, "I want you here with me. I want you to be here now, present in this moment." And they get to arguing. Essentially, I don't know if anything really that stands out that I remember. I know something important happened in that conversation, but I was so into the episode, I don't have notes on it. So they end up in couples therapy where
she was like, she don't want it. She's like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm done with this. I'm done. I think something to that effect happened in the beginning of their whole tryst.
Right. And so I think that it's interesting that the questions that the therapist is asking is leading them to different conclusions, essentially, because they realize they don't really talk to each other, because the therapist specifically asked Robin, like, have you told him your desires, your needs, your wants? Have you been clear with him? And she realizes that she's been holding it in, that she didn't want to be a nag and a badger, which a lot of women, and or partners, period, in general, kind of have that same feeling of like, go ahead.
We are missing. Let me bring it back. Bring it
back.
So what we are leaving out of episode 5, because that's going to tie into where we are now with episode 6. When Jahan, that's his name. When he comes over with the heaters. No, before that, he takes Robin to the speakeasy place. That's actually in episode. Right? That's actually in episode 3.
The
little speakeasy spot, and he was like, "I'll check it out. I'll look at it." And
for the pay what you can restaurant.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And so then that's and it's at the party where he texts her, Jahan, and tells her, it's gone. Because when he brings over the heaters, he mentions, what's up with the bid. Right. And he's like, well, I told him, she said she told him. But anyway, so that's what leads them to their argument that they have in episode 6 in the kitchen. That leads them to to therapy. And I would say this, as I appreciate how driven Harper is, I loved how their therapist was the way that she was, because Robin makes it a point to say, we always just jump at his whims. Whatever it is he wants to do, we're doing it. But we never do anything, he never thinks about us. But like you said, that's what the therapist says. But have you told him
right
what you think?
Right.
So that leads us to where they're going now.
Right, you're very right. So that's a trigger for Robin because she lost that spot that she really wanted, and she felt like he didn't show up. There you go. Because he mentions like you start stuff, you stop it. So you're right, because that is one of the triggers where she was talking about you call that like support, when he was like, you wanted to do the food kitchen, we did that. You wanted to give away 25% of our income, we did that. You wanted the goddamn farm in the backyard, you started that, and the shit dying, right? And so at this point, again, tit for tat, very Malik Yoba and Janet Jackson like in Why Did I Get Married, because they're not really addressing the root of their issues. And so, like I said, Robin realizes she has not been truthful as far as telling Harper exactly what she needs, wants, and desires. And at this point, they haven't really come to an agreement, but they've been going to therapy for quite some time now, as we'll see further in the episode. But we have Merch, who about tired of them making fun of him because he don't like the way he being portrayed on the motherfucking, what do they call it, the movie trailer. They got my man looking like a gump, bruh.
And in true to form, he was one in Unfinished Business, as he was in The Best Man in the beginning.
He was, yeah, he kind of was. So, of course, you know, the fellas are discussing it. They're saying that they're excited. Lance says he'll withhold all his judgment until afterwards, because, you know, his deal was that he wanted to know who was playing Mia in order to approve the movie moving forward. It seems that they are having their annual or weekly poker night, which is really cool, because that was something that Merch touched on in episode 1, which is that he missed the fellas, missed their time together, and so that this should be a staple. So it is. So now we have Merch, we're still on Merch, talking about some like he doesn't want to go to the premiere, and basically calls Harper and was like, I can't make it to the premiere. All right, bye. Click, and hangs the phone up. Like, no explanation, no nothing. And
because he's not at the poker night, mind you.
Right, he missed it. He missed it this time around because he's now been really, you know, taking his kickboxing MMA very seriously. That's interesting. So we find out that this is why I say that therapy has been going well for Harper and Robin, because they're now sitting closer together, a little bit of touching. But now we find out that she can't go to the premiere. I ain't gonna hold you. I was like, what you mean you can't go to the premiere?
Listen. Like this shit ain't just pop up. You knew what it was.
Like, what? What you talking about right now, son? Like, huh? So we see that, and he's like, are you serious? But then we see them sitting on the stoop in a lovely Brooklyn neighborhood, or actually,
no, they're in Harlem. They're just in a different part of Harlem.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought. So they're in Harlem, and she's like, well, let's make the compromise. I'll come, I'll do the photos, I'll watch the movie, then I'll leave the after party and I'll go do my thing, which I love, because they compromise, they figure it out. And then we have the premiere, right? And this is where Lance is trying to tell LJ what to wear, and they ain't having it, right? And LJ wears everything for the most part, but doesn't wear the shirt. And I'm like, it's just a fucking shirt, but okay. So now Lance wants LJ to change.
Let's not forget how. Let's not pass by how LJ is sopping this up and is in their truest queer moments on this red carpet, and I live for it, because you can see the tenseness in Lance's face, like,
yeah, like what you doing?
It was so funny to me, but yeah, and that leads us to going into actually seeing the movie,
right? But before that, we got Jordan, right, on the red carpet, waiting for everybody else to come down. Shelby, of course, her messy, dramatic ass is like, oh, where's the warden? Because they did research, right?
Which we found in the beginning of episode 6, they did the research.
Right. Jordan asked Shelby to do some research because Jordan, let's back it up a little bit. Jordan is having these constant migraines and it turned into blind spells. So now Shelby's like, you need to go to the doctor, right? You need to get checked out because this is not a game. And then proceeds to essentially tell her, sees an article with Demetrius on it or some sort of like poster talking about like this corporation. And Jordan wants to know what it is and comes to find out that he's in bed with a shell company that also is attached to another company that invests millions of dollars into the
private prison system,
right? So of course Demetrius pops up and she's like, oh well, look who's here. And you get that standoffish black woman like, I don't want to see your ass type of attitude. And
wait for me with this, Apollo.
And Demetrius is trying to figure out like, I don't know what it is, but something ain't right. So what's next? So now we go in, everybody's sitting there and they're watching the movie. Now I will say this. I thought it was interesting because I wasn't sure what that sex scene was. I thought that the sex scene was Mia and Harper. But then you were telling me that it's Jordan and Harper, and I totally forgot about that. Harper,
but they never. Well, no, he never slept with. So we got to remember, they never slept together ever, and that is also the premise of what's being showcased in the movie, is them not sleeping together but getting close to it. Because you got to remember the tenseness that rises in Robin and Demetrius because they know the two and how that whole entanglement.
Right.
So that was also a big ass thing right there.
Not entanglement. I hate you. I'm done with you, sir.
It's true.
Yeah. So of course, that's an uncomfortable situation. You could tell Robin is visibly uncomfortable. She stays for a little while and then she leaves. Now Demetrius comes over to be an asshole, telling Harper that, essentially the movie was okay. And he's saying, well, I didn't really have any creative directions. Like, oh, so they iced you out, basically. Like, you ain't have no power. And, makes all these jabs because now he's like, well, you want my girl type shit. You know what I mean? But he's a douchebag for that, especially on somebody's premiere night. Like, you don't do that. I should have punched you in the face, which Harper did try to do. But
Lance was like, let me save you from yourself real quick.
Right? Yeah. So they go over and they're having a really good conversation. And Harper is telling him, like, listen, like, let LJ be LJ, do this with love and you have to figure it out because, you are a good dad and we realize you need help with this, but this is not the way to go about things. So he has an epiphany of his own and ends up showing up to Robin's event to support her. And the group text is going off and they're telling him like, come through, come out, whatever. Nobody shows up. It's just him and Jordan after Robin tells him like, oh yeah, you should go. Like, don't shortchange your night because of me. Which I'm thinking to myself, like, them folks didn't need you at that damn event. You could have left with your husband, but he also could have stayed, right? So it's two sides to a coin.
It's a two-way street, right?
So he goes. It's just Jordan. They decide to go out and walk the streets and yell at the commentary. And let's not forget, because I'm moving too fast. We don't know what happened because Q has a heart attack when him and Shelby get home. So when that happens, they both end up at the hospital at the same time. And Jordan is in sweats and whatnot. And they're trying to figure out what the hell happened and why y'all two here together. And we noticed that, there's a little bit of stuttering happening between
not to mention the outfit change too.
Outfit change that would make me think that some sex was in the picture, but we'll see. And so
go
ahead.
No, I think you are. Is it episode 7?
No, we episode 6.
No, what I'm about to say. But that is the end of episode 6.
No. Episode 6, remember, is when we also know well, you know what?
That's the end of it at the hospital. Right. At the hospital, that's the end of it. So what we're missing out on is because at the premiere we have to deal with the fact that Jordan has gotten this phone call. I mean, she's had this doctor visit where homegirl might be pregnant.
That's episode 7. Yeah.
So that's what we're going into.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that episode 7 goes, for those of you watching, there is a constant time lapse back and forth.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is we first start off with Quentin. I want to call that man Quincy so bad. Mm-hmm. Quentin and Shelby in the house, in the hospital, mm-hmm. And well, no, actually, they're coming back home, because Harper comes home, and that's when he's met by Robin, asking him about how's he doing and everything like that.
He's getting released that day.
Right. And so, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how that turns out to be. But it's jumping back and forth because everybody wants to know. So what the fuck happened?
Right, exactly. So we have Harper coming home in the morning, Robin and Mia, meeting him, and then Robin sharing the good news that she was she's been chosen to do the farm fresh, so to speak, food thing in Ghana.
Yes.
And that they can't wait, they're excited, but Harper has just gotten news that they want him to
Not yet. Not when she gets that news. Because they're gonna go for not yet, because they're gonna go for the summer.
Oh, okay. But no, it is. The movie is selling at the top of the top of the list.
But that's later. Remember, this is just the premiere.
Right.
The heart attack is right after the premiere. It hasn't shown. That's why I say we keep doing that jump back.
Right. Is this it? I feel like this is when he was telling them that they might want him to do a part 2, right? It wasn't that very next day. It was like maybe that night after. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, cool. So then, of course, Lance is doing some homophobic, I'm sorry to use that word, guys, but it's what it is. Homophobic, just not so nice things by trying to give away LJ's belongings. Goes in his room, finds his stash, and tries to give away his clothes, his shoes, and things of that nature. And LJ finds him and lets him know, like, hey, these are my things. And he's like, Lance is like, you don't want anything in this house. Nothing in here is yours.
Everything you have is mine because I gave it to you.
Right. And we were waiting for it to drop, right? And LJ says, sometimes I wish it was you and not mom. And I think that, listen, that's real, because a lot of kids that I know, based on the stories I've seen, when it comes to stuff like this, it's usually the case, is that they feel like they always lost the wrong parent. And I think that it's kind of like, it's unfortunate, but it's real, because their feelings are real, and that's what they are feeling at the moment. So that's what it is.
Isn't it ironic though? Isn't it ironic that all of their stash is behind this grand poster of their father?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love that part. I thought it was such a great nuance to that.
And of course,
great nuance to irony.
Yeah, and of course the sister is there. And just watching things crumble, essentially, and not happy about it. But that's what it is. At this point, Candace has still been trying to get this goddamn dissertation approved by this advisor, back and forth. And the advisor tells her, like, hey, I don't have any openings this morning, but I have openings in the evening. So she decided she wants to tell Mert. Well, let's go back for a second, because This episode is very tricky. This is episode 7, guys. It's very tricky. Like Jamal said earlier, it's back and forth, back and forth. It's doing a time jump. So Q and Shelby are having a trouble time, like adjusting to the new life. No sex, no smoking, no alcohol, no high
different diet,
different diet, all that other good shit. So by this time, Q is upset and whatnot, and he's saying some nasty things as well, just like how he just wouldn't be having this
like
problem.
I'm dying with you,
because of you and whatnot. But then we see Q catch Merch off guard and have a conversation with him, and he's like, Merch is like, yeah, I'm always supposed to be the I think he said bitch ass dude, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I'm supposed to be the the butt of the joke, the punching bag. I'm supposed to just take it and not say nothing. But nah, he was like, fuck that, I'm done. I'm not. This is actually last episode because he said that he wasn't going to premiere. So forgive us, guys. But yeah, so we see that this is happening, and Candace is asking. We've seen Merch having this attitude now, basically, is what I was trying to get to, because now Candace cannot take the girls to their scheduled etiquette class, right? And she comes down and just asks Merch to do it, expecting that him not to have anything to do. So now he's having an attitude with her, because rightfully so, though, because you guys will see this, but Candace has been selfish the entire fucking season. Like, she's selfish. She's not once thought about Merch at all. And while I'm very aware that a dissertation takes time and dedication, when you have a family and you then go into getting your PhD, you also know that you got to balance a lot of things, and you can't just drop the ball, so to speak. And I know that people who have done dissertations will have more experience in this than I will, but I feel like there's just some way, and once and every now and then you should just ask your partner, is there anything that they need, since they have been taking care of the entirety of the family. And I will say that also I felt a little bit Jen and Malik with them too, because they didn't really get to the base of what was happening with them. So Merch agrees. Candace goes off to see the advisor. Merch drops the girls off and then proceeds to go to one of the biggest fights that he's gonna have in this season.
Well, no, it's a preliminary fight.
Is that what this is?
It was a preliminary because he drops them off and then he comes back with the shades. And that's when it's like, we would have appreciated if, one of you all as a parent could have stayed through. And she was like, is there a problem?
Right.
Pretty much. Like,
agreed.
Did they die?
Right. So we have another flashback, and we going back to Harper and Jordan being at Jordan's house. Well, being on the pony ride, the carousel.
Yes.
Screaming, suck it, to people who have been bad-mouthing the movie since it came out, right? The critics gave it 0 stars, 1 stars, 2 stars. It ain't no
tomatoes.
Days, all that kind of thing. So
the book was better than the book.
Right, exactly. So he's having, of course, what most people do when they put something out, right? He's going down the list of looking at the goddamn reviews, which you ain't supposed to do. You already know better. But you see them on the pony ride doing that, and then they end up back at Jordan's house. They're walking, they're in the back of Jordan's house, and there's a rubber band ball that they are now talking about to some degree.
It's the box of their things that they had from when they were in college, notes, little mementos, things like that, and they start going through, and they both pull out something,
right,
and are supposed to read it to each other, but they never do, because
I want to say that we didn't get that part, because
we don't get that part until
the show is actually released.
Until episode it's episode 8. Okay, episode 8 is when they share it. But as we all know, it ends up with them going to it. We come back in time in current day and see that we already know that they went to the hospital. But what happens is now we're in the present day, and we come to Candace in the advisor's office, and she's having a breakthrough. She's made it through and everything like that.
We are so late. No, because they were at the premiere.
Well, that's the I mean, okay, so that's the time. We're still in the time jump.
Oh,
see, it's still in the time jump, but it's not at that moment. I misspoke. I apologize. I misspoke.
You're fine.
So we're still in the time jump, but we go to Candace now because she's missing out on everything, and they're telling her how they're having such a great time. And that's when we see her advisors talking to his wife or whatever on the phone, making plans for later on. And then she's having her breakthrough moment or whatever like that. And then he comes over to give her that, inspirational push. But then that push comes to a push up on you.
Yeah.
And he's like, he sexually assaults her pretty much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But and she, as she tries, she can't get away, but they're surprised by the cleaning lady, and where Candace then storms off. And like I said, that's what brings us to almost the present day, where she comes home now, and Murch is passed out on. Yeah. I mean, as he should be. He just been fighting for his life. Yeah. And she's crying. And I just knew that Murch was going to hear her and come to her aid, but it never happens. Yeah. And I can't imagine how as a woman you would feel.
I was really hoping it wasn't gonna take that route, right? But as soon as
we felt those vibes,
as soon as this man was introduced into the play, to the show, I knew that that's where it was gonna go. And as a woman who's been sexually assaulted before, it's especially when it's usually by somebody that you trust to a degree, thinking that they won't violate you like that. It's the absolute fucking worst. And so I was really, really just heartbroken for her. So then we flash back to I think, well, we're back in the present, and we're going to Q and Shelby, I believe, because they still kind of not speaking, right? I believe. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, I cannot remember.
Okay, hold on. No, stop. Before you go there, we got to bring it back.
Okay.
Because that is where we find out that homegirl thinks she might be pregnant.
Right. There we go. She thinks she might be pregnant. Demetrius pops out on her, and she confronts him finally to tell him that, well, she actually confronts him somewhat at the premiere, letting him know that she knows that he's in bed with,
private prisons and all that.
Right. And so that she, that's not her thing. And then they meet again in this episode, where she's basically saying, I can't do it. And he's like, well, I'm in bed with them. Yeah, but I'm doing reform inside by getting in there. Why not do that and make a profit as well? Most people in their 401ks and shit like that, they don't even realize that they're not being, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't realize they're investing in that. So I thought that was very, very interesting, but nonetheless, like, whatever.
But we finally do come back to present day with Robin and Harper now, where that, as you were speaking to earlier, he's getting hit up by his agent. They're trying to do number 2. I mean, they're trying to work on, exactly. And at first it's like, okay, well, we can do when is it supposed to be again? June, July. Okay, we can do June. He's having those moments, and also going through mind you, this is a lot going on in this one episode. Yeah. We're just on episode 7, you guys. Yeah. And so I forget what it is that happens, but you mean when she asked him about, well, he's saying that he can make it work, but then he takes a call from Stan, which is his norm, right? He's been exactly, and he cuts off and
right. So, no, go ahead.
They were supposed to be talking about something with the trip to Africa, and so he comes back And he's like, I'm so sorry that lasted much longer than I wanted to. And he's heating up his food.
Right.
And she was like, I wanted us all to have dinner together because Mia's already eaten. Right. And he was like, something is mentioned about June, July, and August. Mm-hmm. And she's like, it's over in August. He was like, well, can I come and see you all? And she loses it. And that's what
she just wanted a month. She's only asking for a month. And then I believe that's when she asked what really happened that night of the premiere. And so he's like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, Q had the heart attack. So Shelby was with him. Lance,
and they were at home.
Right. Lance, XYZ. And so who does that leave? And so, he basically says, like, I think he does drop Jordan's name, but I think that I can't remember whether or not he said if they showed up. But yeah, at this point, Robin is saying that she's done. She doesn't want to do it anymore. But in the midst of that, his phone dings and she feels like it's again another interruption. And he goes, no, it's not that. LJ is missing. And so we see this part now start to play because they haven't been home. I think at this point it was only like 24 hours that LJ had been missing. And so we open up with episode 8, which is the final episode with them, everybody at Lance's house trying to find LJ. At this point, tension is running high between Robin and Harper, Robin and Jordan, because she's aware some shit went down. She don't know what it is. But here we are again, 10 years later with the same bullshit, essentially. And so they are deciding to, like, how to go look for LJ. The sister comes home, or she says that, this is when the sister says beforehand that, they turn off their location. They've been missing. The police find LJ's car. Still nothing at this point. Excuse me. And so Harper, of course, is like, well, everybody's doing their part. Can I help you with something? And she's like, I don't want to talk to you because we don't want to talk about your lack of transparency. Like, we need to just focus on getting LJ back home safe. So Harper and Merch take flyers to head out. Robin is cooking for the kids, and Candace as well, keep an eye on the kids. Jordan and Lance head out to hit the streets, and Q and Shelby is still just at the house. Now, by this time, Kennedy shows up and says, like, I should have told you guys this sooner. This is when the police are there asking all these questions that, like, I know a friend that they might have that could help and know where they are. And so Robin stays behind. Jordan and Lance take off. They go to the friend's house, which happens to be, I'm assuming, another a
non-binary
of the community. And they are like, who was missing who? Like, because what sibling, what sister and brother, you know what I mean? Which is, come on, like, we know how kids are, right? And so they say that they don't really know, that they talked about going to California, but they didn't think that they would leave without them. And so Lance leaves, right?
Hold on, but before he leaves, there's a very special moment in that interchange when they say, they said they will always leave to go to California, but I never thought about it because I never had a reason to not be able to come home. That shit was so on point at that moment because it was a switch to click off to let it be known that, yeah, I'm the same. I'm just like LJ, and I got a lover home, and my parents both rock with it. But I don't know if that was supposed to be they are very androgynous, so I don't know what their assigned gender was versus what they are now presenting as. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. So of course they head out. Jordan, after telling Lance not to listen to the police scanner, listen to the goddamn police scanner, gets frantic. Lance calls the cops. He's like, let me call you back. Let me just make sure. And then they find out that it's not him. And
because it's announced that it's a body that's been found.
Right. It's not them. Right. It's not LJ. They proceed to keep on going. By this time, Jordan is grabbing waters, gets the call from the doctor. We found out that she's not pregnant. What I love about this episode is that they hit on so many various things. As you get older, there are things that you wish you did, things that you want to do, things that are going to keep constantly happening, as we're getting older. And so Jordan is not pregnant. However, it would seem that she wanted to be.
Exactly. And one thing we failed to mention is that, Jordan is the godmother. And by default, we think it's because she was so close to Mia, not knowing how close she was with Lance as well. But with LJ coming out and keeping that from Lance, that also causes a divide between the dynamics between Lance and Jordan. So they wasn't really fucking with each other until LJ went missing. And she confides in Lance, of all people, about, she's living the life she always wanted. She always planned for herself, but she was ready for that to stop. Yeah. And she was ready to not be in control of her life anymore. And I think for women, it definitely hits harder for you all than it does for men. I mean, men, unfortunately, we can keep going until we can't go anymore. But you all are not the same. And I think that's a beautiful moment that they shared together, because it was just like, we gonna get our shit together. Like, we gonna get back.
I agree, because I don't think we talk about that enough. We don't realize that as you're chasing that career, that dream, that when you get there, you realize sometimes, not all the time, let's be very clear, sometimes that you maybe missed out on wanting to be a mom and didn't realize that you wanted to be a mom until after the fact. And so, especially when when those people are super driven, like Jordan, she's been very strategic the whole entire way through since the beginning of Best Man. So we know that this woman has never really lost control. She's always kind of been on top of things. And to say that I wanted to lose control, that I was ready not to have that control in my life, that's a very huge thing. But I love that they're addressing that this does happen and it needs to be talked about, because these type of women exist, and we all deserve compassion and empathy for these types of situations, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know until you figure it out. So by this time, Lance tells her, I just really appreciate the godmother that you've been to my kids. And, for what it's worth, I think you would have been a great mom.
Exactly.
Then they get the call. They found LJ, pulls up to the church that is welcoming for all genders, all races, all sexualities and whatnot. And and the friend who they had went to see earlier, I'm coming. The friend that they went to see earlier is there with the pastor, who has been like a mentor to both them and LJ. And LJ goes, Lance goes in, he sees LJ, and he asks LJ asks Lance to sit down so they can have this conversation, or for real, just for him to listen. And so
that was a very telling part. That was very moving, because he says, you kept me in church. They say, excuse me. They say, you kept me, you brought me to church all my life. And, you brought me, you've taught me of God's teachings and all of these things, to the point where I'm taught that I'm not welcomed in God's home because of how I want to live my life. And then I come to you, finally being able to be my true self, and I can't be that in my home either. So where am I to go?
Right.
And that's when he discovers the church where they're at now. And, I think there is not enough dialogue between our young men and our older men about being aware of yourself and those around you, and the acceptance. Everybody thinks they're accepted, but doesn't necessarily truly feels they're accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody, I don't care how cool you may be, that does not mean that you're always going to be cool about every topic. I think this was a beautiful moment to show the dynamic and the struggle, to show that there is redemption after being outcasted so much, when there is a coming out to this magnitude. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. It was drastic coming out. Yeah. So I can understand the reservedness. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's a real word. If it's not, I just made it up. And that's okay. I can understand being reserved about it because of how dramatic the coming out was, but at the same time, I honestly thought it was beautiful for them to share in that moment. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like a turnaround, because all he has is his children to remind him of his wife at this point.
Absolutely. And let's also note that he was praying and asking for help on how to handle this and how he could change, because his prayer previously was help him see that, or help LJ see that this is not the way. Mm-hmm. So while I don't agree with LJ's coming out, because I do feel like everybody did ask them at one point, like, have you talked to your dad? Like Uncle Q asked, Auntie Jordan asked, and so it was.
And Kennedy asked.
Kennedy did ask. So I think it wasn't my preference. I'll say that, but I understand. I'm well aware that, you know, coming out is just one of those things. It's never going to be easy for anybody. So, you know, so we have this situation here with Harper and Robin. Shit is really hitting the fan. And so I believe everybody knows that Lance is getting ready to retire. He has his ceremony at Met Stadium. They're getting ready to go, you know,
but they're already we don't know that they're already meeting with divorce lawyers, because we do a time jump at this point.
So what was the last time jump? Well, the last time jump back was we saw Jordan and Harper kiss, right? And that's when they get the call that Q is in the hospital. We don't see we don't see anything before that, kind of, sort of. Right.
But we time jump 4 months ahead. And and it opens up with Harper and Robin in front of their lawyers at arbitration.
Right.
You know what it is.
Look at you. Yeah. So basically they're at this point they're very amicable, right? That they're gonna split things evenly. He thought that she was keeping the house, but now she's selling the house. They'll split the house. Where are you gonna live? Oh, we're moving to Ghana.
What? Some dudes don't even like their kids to be states away. You want to be an ocean away.
Yeah, not rocking for me, bro. It's I think that.
Got it.
I'm speaking from a very different point of view, because I do not have a child, right? That does not mean my opinion doesn't matter, because I know there are going to be some people who think that because if you don't have a kid, you can't really talk on it. I think that it is so important to have both parents present in a way that can be physically present in their children's lives. Absolutely. That is the reason for not being agreeing with this decision to move Mia away, because I just think that it does a disservice. We can say that she'll be fine and that kids are fine when this happens, but we don't know that until years later when we're adulting and we're grown ass adults sitting in therapy. Like, I wish that my mom would have kept me closer to my dad. Like, you don't know that. So, you know, he's like, that's not happening, right? He meets with the fellas, or at least with Q and Merch. And Q was like, do whatever it takes to keep your daughter close, because of course, based on his experience, not knowing Kennedy was his for 10 years, and Merch is like, yo, I've seen this shit get nasty. I've seen this shit get bad. Y'all not gonna even be able to be friends after this. Just do, you know, just like think about this shit before it goes left. So of course now we have Lance's retirement. Everybody's at the house. and except for Robin, but Robin shows up furious because now Harper has decided to file for full custody of Mia. And let me tell you, I was not ready for where that shit went at.
That shit show that came after that.
Oh my gosh. I was not even ready for that. So let's talk about it, right? So basically she shows up. She's like, you filed for custody without telling me. He's like, yeah, I did what I had to do to keep my daughter close, right? Because you ain't taking her away from me. Merch is like, let's not do this, and he's like, just let like, this needs to be done. It's gonna happen here. It's gonna happen here. Fine, whatever. Candace tries to jump in. Harper's like, mind your business. Merch is like, you're not gonna talk to my wife like that. You tripping. Then Shelby pops in, and she puts in her little 2 cents, and Q was like, nah, man, like, I feel that shit. And she like, what you say? And then he was like,
keep my yo, I knew there would be someone that was gonna do it.
Keep my wife's name out your motherfucking mouth. And I was like, hey, yo, I was trying so hard not to laugh, but it just was too funny.
I hollered.
Listen, I had to let it go. And so shit takes a whole left turn. Candace walks out after Robin. Shelby is going in, and Merch is going in. He said, I told you this was going to happen. I told you it was going to happen. Every time you have that chance to
do the right thing, to choose the right thing, or choose yourself.
Which we got to say, we'll get to that in a little bit. But yes, so you choose yourself, right? Shelby is giving him a piece of her mind, and Jordan now is the last one to come to his defense, saying like, hey, let's not do this. And if Shelby is saying like, of course you're coming to his side, because it's always been about Harper. It's always been. And so needless to say, nobody else shows up at the at Lance's retirement, but Harper shows up. He says that
Harper and Jordan, I think, show up.
I don't know. I didn't see Jordan. I don't remember, but it's possible. But remember, LJ is showing up as their true authentic selves. He addresses that with the news crew, asking whether or not he's going to, whether or not they are going to, play pro football. If they're going to be like him, and Lance responds with like, if they are going to be anything like me, by which you mean put God first, have family, be
because Lance says my child.
Yeah. And so he goes, he's making sure that he says like they are non-binary and this is what they are doing. So happy family, looking really, really good. Harp shows up, says like, listen, I know you heard about the shit show that happened. I apologize. I wanted to come show my face. You can see this is where things are going bad, and Harper is, you can tell this is where depression starts for him when he walks away. And I thought at this moment, to be quite honest, that Lance was going to, which I know it didn't make sense because this was his day, but I definitely thought that at some point they would show Lance showing up for him the way he showed up for Lance at Mia's funeral.
Well, he kind of does, because he gives him that little bit of knowledge. Lance isn't particular. He's not meticulous like Harper, but the little gems that he does share, Harper doesn't let fall by the wayside. So that little knowledge bend he tells him, Harper then turns around and walks away. But Lance has a surprise.
Right. He has a surprise. Jasmine is there in his city. She has moved there because she took a management position with the company. So now she's in New York.
And that is because I was about to say Quincy. LJ and Faith, because Faith is the oldest daughter. Hope is the younger daughter. LJ and Faith are at the table and see, Lance looking like, who are you looking at? Oh, she's pretty, and they egg him on to go over talk to her. But after that is derived, like I said, that little bit of gem that Lance drops to Harper, that's what causes Harper to go back and like, you know what, you want to take her, go ahead.
Right, because they go out on their daddy daughter date, right? And Mia gives her sandwich away to the homeless man, and Harper can see like what it's done to Mia, and he realizes that there's no reason to take that away from her. So he withdraws his custody proposal, I guess, and whatnot, and they're saying okay, and we have Harper begging still for her not to go, to not leave and whatnot. The house is empty and they get in the car. He gives Mia a kiss and tells Mia he'll see her soon. He's still begging, Robin not to go, that he'll do whatever, like be who you want to be. And he's like, I'll change. Gets into the car, they pull off, and you see him go back into the house and start crying. And I think it was just really good for them to show like this part, because I think too often we think that men are not feeling the effects of these things when they happen. And so I'm glad that they showed him having that moment. I call it a breaking moment, and not in a bad way. It's just a breaking like emotions for him. So
I actually thought he had died myself. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying to laugh at all. I'm not trying to make light. I'm not trying to make humor of his pain. But when he linked over, I'm like, hold on, did he just kick the bucket? Like, what's up? Like, I didn't know, because we kept thinking, I don't know about you, but I kept thinking we're going to lose somebody else. We're going to lose somebody else. We did, but not in that sense.
Right.
And that part, I ain't gonna lie, that part killed me, because to see how emotional she was to her father, leaving her father, how emotional he was. He'd be like, please just let her stay. Please just say, I'll do whatever you want to do. I'll change. Right. She was like, Harper, you're not going to change.
Right.
And then it leads to that point. And then, the scene cuts to Lance being the first one to pop up. And he walks in.
He's like, what's up, Harp?
Yeah. And then that's followed by Merch, and then followed by Quentin, and they're all, making sandwiches, getting chips and stuff. I'm not crying. My allergies are acting up. I promise y'all. My eyes been itching all day. But it's so funny, because it's almost like if you took the brothers,
yeah,
and the wood, and you brought it all together. That is essentially the best man, especially because. Funny enough, Morris Chestnut was in the brothers. Tay Diggs was in the wood. But that sense of brotherhood, and I think that also was a beautiful thing to see. Absolutely. Because we saw some of it happen for Lance with just with just Merch and Harper, but to see the collective all together, let me tell you something. As a man, it ain't nothing like my boys holding me down.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the beautiful thing that I love about the Best Man series and its franchise, that we see that. You know what I'm saying? We are used to seeing women do that, but to see men do that, come on now. Black men at that, come on now. We're not catching that too much. I think we see them all come together, and it starts with and they start up their poker
night, because he's obviously missed it. I feel like he might have missed it a few times by this point now that they're showing up, but it could just be that he missed it once, or it was their time to have it in and he wasn't showing up, so they knew what to do. And so I really love that, because like you said, seeing black men pull each other up and hold each other down, because throughout this entire season it's been nothing but accountability, support, honesty, vulnerability,
those difficult conversations that need to be had,
and it needs to happen, because I really want black men to see like this is possible, and you absolutely need this shit. Like, you need this shit. Okay, but if you want to be married, or you are married, the way you survive and thrive in marriage is through having friends who support you and keep you real about your bullshit. You know what I mean? So,
and I'm glad, as much I'm an advocate for peace. Let me put that out there.
mm-hmm.
I'm an advocate for peace. I love Black love, but I love love, period. But I'm an advocate for peace. Yeah. And I thought they was going to do the corny thing. I thought it was going to be the corny whole, okay, the couples are going to fight and they all might go through their things, but we're going to keep them together. They're going to stay together. Mm-hmm. We want to see these love stories play out and stay love stories. But we see not every love story has a happy ending. Right. Or it might be a good ending. It just ain't the ending you expected. Yeah. Because also what we realize is that that then takes us somewhere else where we go to Murch's fight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
oh shit, that was a while back, wasn't it?
That was before this, but it's okay. Yeah. It's all right. But it's still the togetherness because
everybody showed up for Murch.
Exactly, because Candace does so Murch.
Oh shit, we forgot about that too because the schools. Yeah,
y'all don't understand just how much is. These are hour-long episodes, and it is a lot. So please forgive us. We already born dry through episodes 1 through 4. We ain't take good notes 5 through 8. So just bear with us. So and all that's going on in this episode, one of the daughters mentions to her friend about the edibles and all this other stuff. And when Candace comes to the school, she gets checked by one of the parents. And while this is going on,
Murch is confiscating
Murch, who has the recording of his previous fight. And it just so happens that is around the same time that he's having this big championship fight. So Candace is in the house because her and Murch have gotten into it. And no, she's going through her own little withdrawals about
sexual assault.
The sexual assault because homeboy done got told. I mean, it's been announced that he's going to get some award or something. Right. And so the girls come and show her the phone of daddy fighting. Currently, no, he's warming up. He's warming up. And she was like, "What the fuck is?" So by the time she gets there, he's in full fight. And she was like, "Oh my God!" It went from being, "Oh my God, I'm so nervous." What? To yay! Fuck him up! Yo, it was. I love Regina Hall. Regina Hall is so DC, especially in those moments. Like I don't care what anybody say. She sticks to her roots and she kick it. And she the hometown homegirl. But going forward, we also see that not all things are bad as we see because we have yet another time jump where what is it this time?
I think this is when they finally open up those rubber bands and they're asking questions, but we don't get the answer. But then we're having...
it's an event that they're at. What event is it that they're at?
Oh, you mean Harper's
he made bam. See, okay. Bring it back.
Yeah, so his new book, Pieces of Me, he finally writes the piece that he wants to write, that he wants to be recognized for, that he wants to really thrive in because he no longer wants to make trash TV or trash books, like, which I understand. And so now he has thrived and people are applauding the work of art. Everybody's there to celebrate him. And you see the growth for everybody. So at this point, Q and Shelby are still together, right? He has had another mini
it's a pinched nerve,
pinched nerve, and Kennedy finally calls him daddy, but he survives and he's good, and he throws flowers on the floor. And he's telling her that he loves her and he needs her. Then we have...
burnt up the whole dinner.
Right. We have Jordan, who quits her job and is now a consultant. So she has more time for self-care. Murch and Candace are still together. Candace has spoken out against the advisor who sexually assaulted her and is on one of the magazines who, with other women. Lance has proposed to Jasmine, and it's like that thing looked like a goddamn dish plate on her finger. Like I don't even know how she kept her hand up. And Harper is on the phone with Robin saying thank you, you know, because obviously they've mended, they've patched it, they've grown. And he's asking for Mia, and it's like, well, you know, where's
She's
Mia?
at a play date.
And then, you know, she says, oh, you know what, you should be getting a present really shortly. And in comes Mia with the mother-in-law, which I thought was very, very, very beautiful. So this entire series, I feel like it wrapped. While I do feel like the ending could have been a little bit better,
it left some questions for me.
Yeah, I just feel like it wasn't well wrapped together in a tight, nice little bow that I needed, and I really wanted that, considering that we've been going through this stretch with them since 98, 97.
99.
Is it 99?
99.
Sure.
I looked it up. It's 99.
Oh, you raggedy hoe. Okay. 99. Okay, fine. So I do feel like there was a little bit left that I kind of wish they would have just nicely wrapped it for me. But overall, I enjoyed the series. There are a few things that we missed. Please, by all means, let us know in the comments. We will respond. Okay, that's one thing we finna do. We gonna respond to you. Okay, so
keep it cute. But keep it cute or keep it on mute. Keep it cute or keep it on mute, and don't beat us up.
Right, we human just like y'all, folks. We
Thank you. But what you rate it? What do you think of it all together? I mean, what out of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
All together, I would give it a solid 7.
Okay. I will see your 7 because I agree. Let me just say this to all you filmmakers and show creators and everything like this. I love that you all have the location in these beautiful areas, or these, you know, these areas where shit goes down or whatever like that. But I'm gonna need y'all to stop making them fictional, okay? Because a brother like me likes what I see, so I do the research. Ain't no goddamn Saint Pierre in the Caribbean, okay? I looked it up.
It's in France.
Yeah, France, but they had like Caribbean accents. That ain't over in France.
I think they were trying to go more. Yeah, that was a little bit confusing because I looked it up, and there it's actually, I asked my aunt. She lives in France. She says it is similar to that. Like, it has a beautiful more.
Yeah, I seen the
But
pictures.
yeah, I was like kind of confused because I mean, Sean Paul playing, and you got this girl with a Jamaican accent. I'm very confused. But yeah,
I was so upset. But I tell you, I give it that. But you know what's so funny to me? But I always love that was it Malcolm Lee, the creator?
Yes. Don't give me the line, but yes, Malcolm Lee. Yeah.
What I love what he does with these outtakes at the end of it all, because I'm telling you, them outtakes, especially the moment when like they were high at the Gold and Black.
Yeah.
And,
Regina Hall. Like, I want to move like this. I want to move like that. What you doing? What you doing?
She just kept doing.
Yeah, she plays too much. I mean, again, you know, I just want to say thank you to the cast, because we have been with you all since 99, and you're a staple, you know, franchise, essentially, kind of, sort of, to watch this from, I want to say I didn't watch it in 99. I probably watched it in like 2002, you know, 2002, 2003-ish, because I was out of high school by then. But I feel like seeing them do this transformation, showing you what it's like to get older, to have kids, to have struggles, to have health problems, to, you know, big career booming, to, you know, needing support, to overcoming lies. Like, you all really gave so much of yourself in these chapters, and I really appreciate it, you know. So I'm really excited that we got the opportunity to review such an iconic series, for sure, definitely.
Especially because it's so relatable at the end of it all. Because like I looked at my friend group, and that's us. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? From and I mean, I got relationships that go to 25 years at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like they the blueprint to show you how this goes, and to see that, and to just showing us all the complexities that we come with, and how we get through it, how we use our community and depend on our community to help us and lift us up and hold us accountable. That is what I found so beautiful about the Best Man franchise. And I, as you said, just thank you to all of you all, the actors, the directors, the producers, for making something that is iconic in our households. Hell, one of my favorite lines come from the first one, but I'm not going to say it because I'm in the presence of a lady and I am a gentleman. But one of my favorite lines to use is from the first movie, and you know what part I'm talking about.
I know what she's talking about. I just again, like I said, I enjoyed it thoroughly. It's different. I need you all to know, who are watching us, it's very different for us to watch it before you all, because we experience it differently, and we want to experience it with you at the same time. But in order to give you such an insight on our thoughts, and to have your commentary with us, it's also something that we really look forward to. So please comment, please share, give your feedback. We will definitely be here after it drops. It's going to be a binge drop, so just make sure that you are prepared for that.
Exactly.
If I'm not mistaken, it will be released December 22nd. So it's going to be on Peacock. Make sure you check it out. Let us know what you think.
And point out some things that we missed, because I'm gonna tell you, sometimes y'all really come through in these comments and be like, well, this happened, and I'm like, damn, you're right, I did miss that. Good job.
So thank you for watching and for sticking with us. We didn't want to give y'all one long thing, so we wanted to break it down. Hopefully you will appreciate it. We cannot wait to see your thoughts and your comments on it. And until next time, we will see you. Peace.
Deuces.